I'm LaKeshia. Hey, I'm Natalie.
And this is
Life Cracks Us Up.
So, hey, girl.
What up, though?
So, where is your head today?
Well, miraculously, it's still attached to my body.
That's a good thing.
However, rough few days. What these last few days have shown me is that I need a therapist. I know that we've talked about, kind of grazed over, therapy and mental health, but it might be time to kind of dive a little bit deeper. Without going too much into what's been going on, suffice it to say that I feel like I'm in need of some counsel outside of people who I know are going to have my back and who I know are going to tell me, girl, everything's going to be okay. Hey, you're doing the right thing. Everything's good. I actually need someone to kind of pick in my head a little bit so that I can figure out how to handle my latest issue. So I've come to the conclusion that although I've kind of toyed around with the idea of going to a therapist before, but I really truly feel like now's the time for me to kind of let somebody in and just have open dialogue. Sooner than later. Sooner than later, before you call me one day and say, "Are you calling me from a closet? Are you in a closet? Right. Why do you sound muffled?" Yeah,
well, I'm sorry that you feel the need, but I'm glad that you know it's there and you're going to take advantage of it.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, because I had a call last week. This week, where's my head? I don't know what day it is. I don't know. But I've got a call coming up with a therapist. And yeah, because I mentioned before that I thought that it was maybe like a one and done thing, but it is not.
Yeah,
it is not. I need a therapist on retainer because life, it cracks us up, right? Cracks us up now, whether that's me laughing or me crying.
Right.
But I'm cracked up one way or the other.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that therapy seems to be losing the stigma. Is that the right way to say it?
Yeah. It's starting to lose the negative. Yeah. And I think so it's sort of threefold. If I can talk about all three. Part of it, in the Black community, unfortunately, therapy is looked at like, I'm not crazy. I don't need nobody in my business.
You better pray about it.
Right.
You better just pray about
it. So I do feel like the more we hear about, I hate to even talk about the influence that, actors and actresses and musicians, I hate to think about how much influence they have over people. However, some of it is super good. Like the whole mental health thing, people are speaking out now more about needing the therapy. So I do think in the Black community, we have to open our minds, no pun intended, to the idea of therapy. We also have to, sorry parents, but stop listening to the older generation, because the older generation, especially again in the Black community, didn't talk about mental health, didn't even believe in mental health. It was more, that aunt or uncle or that cousin that was kind of tucked away and they just wasn't right, but there's a lot of opportunity for discussion surrounding mental health. And sometimes it just has to start in your own house.
Yeah, that is definitely for sure. Because I know, like you talk about in the Black community, which is all that is absolutely true, but being a Black woman, women, we're strong. We can carry it all. Weight of the world. We take care of everybody else. So for me, being a Black woman, I fought so long with the concept that I can get over this. I can do this by myself. I don't need to talk to anybody. And then I started feeling like, really something is wrong with me because I'm the only person who's going through this. And that, it just, girl, when I tell you how it culminated, that job that I met you at.
Right.
If that was not a stressor,
Mm-hmm.
I was so wound up all the time. And then, not to mention, I didn't live close by the job. So I had to deal
Mm-hmm.
with all that traffic back and forth. I was spending so much time away from my family, going to a job that I hated.
And I'm sure the whole ride anticipating how miserable you were about to be for 8.5 hours.
Yes, yes. So one day I was trying to go into work, and it was a backup at the tunnel. And I decided I'm not gonna make it in there today. I called from traffic and be like, I'm not coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And I went back home and I called my doctor. And it felt so hard. It was so hard to tell them what I wanted to come in for.
Mm-hmm.
Because, just think about it. Like, if I had broken my arm, or if I had a fever, or if I had anything else, like, this is what's wrong.
Right.
But I couldn't bring myself to say, what, something's not right in my head.
Right.
It's like, yeah, and I talked to the kids today about this. It's like, if you have a physical illness, you go to the doctor. Why not if you need mental health issues, you have a mental health concern, why can't you go to a doctor?
Right.
So it was really intense. The struggle was really real.
Really real.
Really real with me.
And you talked about your feelings being, the only person. Like, why am I feeling like this? I don't see anybody else feeling like this.
Right.
But the other part of that is, like we just said, because nobody talks about it. Who wants to just come out, and you got a glass of wine in one hand and everybody's talking about, their happy life. What are you going to come out and say? Oh, I go to therapy,
Right.
But I think that if that were more acceptable, you'd be surprised at how many people said, oh, so do I. Or, whoa, I've been thinking about that. How is it?
Mm-hmm.
Are you getting anything from it? And I think therapy is different for each person, obviously, because each person is different. Each therapist is different. But I think that you're going to get out of it what you're willing to put into
Absolutely.
it. You can't go in there half-assing, and bullshitting around with what's wrong with you, right? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
How is someone supposed to address your concerns?
Oh my gosh!
If you're half-assing your sessions?
Yeah, because I had a session once, and this was before COVID, so it was in person. Because now I do my stuff.
There was a time before COVID.
I know, right? Look, now I do everything virtual because I'm not putting on pants for nobody. Okay, all right. So I was sitting in there with her, and we're talking, and she asked me a question, and I was like, no, stop right there. We are not going there. Because I was like, because when I first walked in, the lights are dim, and I'm looking around, I don't see a couch. Like, what? How does this work? You're supposed to lay down?
We sitting on each other's lap.
I know, so it was really weird, but I'm telling you, when she struck that chord, I was like, I'm playing this no more. I'm good. I'm going home. We're not going to talk about it. But it ended up being, a really good session, because, like, I like what you said. It's not a friend or a family member that's got my back just going to tell me what I want to hear. Right. She's going to help you to face those tough subjects, to think about it. Like, I believe that we are stronger than we think we are.
Agreed.
So sometimes she was giving me stuff, and it's like, yeah, you're right. Because I was thinking, like, oh, I'm a failure. It's like, no, you've done this. To get you to see outside of yourself, and to give you tools, because I mean, they get the training,
right?
So, and they say stuff that's not like so astounding, but I didn't think about it. So therapy is awesome. And another thing I found out in therapy, and I must say, I went to therapy. I started therapy just a few years ago, and I'm a little senior. I'm seasoned now in life.
Right.
And we talked about some of the issues I'd had when I was younger. And for the first time in my life, I heard the term suicidal ideation. And when I tell you, I was like, what? I'm like the only person in the world that ever thought about something like that. She was like, no.
Yeah.
Like, if there's a term for it, unfortunately, I'm not
You're not
that
the only,
special.
right?
I'm not that special. But I was like, all my life, from very young age, like teens, I'd had thoughts of death and suicide. And let me tell you, I I used to think that I was so bad at everything that I thought if I tried to kill myself, I messed that up too. If that's not, you say, what kind of thought is that? But it helped me to not
do it because you didn't want to mess that up.
I'm standing there looking out this window of a second story, our second story apartment. I'm like, I'm just gonna jump out this window. I'm gonna break all my bones,
but live.
And then somebody's gonna take care of me, and I'm not gonna be able to do nothing. So now I'm just gonna lay here in the mess. So hey, it helped me not jump,
right?
But gee, my knees. But yeah, off and on through life, I've had these issues. Like I had a big issue with water. I think I still have a big issue with water. I can't swim. Took the little class. It didn't stick.
Do you think it didn't stick because of your fears of the water?
Oh yeah, for sure. Okay. For sure. Okay. But again, back to that job. So one day I was leaving work and I was really all bent out of shape. And we have to cross the bridge tunnel to get from one side to the other. And all I could see was myself turning off of the bridge. And so, so obviously I don't want to die, but I'm so I'm like fighting within myself, like keep the car on the road, keep the car on the road. And so now I'm in tears because I am really struggling here. And I was like, what is wrong with me? Like, who does that?
Yeah.
Who, but just, I don't know. It's like, I needed help. Well, I needed help.
I will say this. Because we've had this conversation before. Clearly, you're not the only person who has those types of thoughts. Thank God you've never acted on anything, because like you said, you don't want to die. You're just kind of toying with the concept of, oh, what if I did? Like what,
So right now we're going to take a break. And you can like, share, follow, and subscribe.
Those thoughts, suicidal ideology,
suicidal ideation.
That, and I promise you, I can say that. I don't know why I just struggled with that, but I've had instances where I've just thought about, I don't need this shit. I don't want to do this shit.
Yeah,
like I did this whole life thing, not interested. But like you, I know I don't want to die. I think about, my family and this is even before I had my girls, before my kids. You're not the only person who has that thought. And I'm sure that people listening can think back to times when they've had that thought. So don't think you're alone in that, because you're not. And the fact that you decided to get counseling, talk to somebody outside of your immediate circle, someone who may have actually had training and education on how to deal with those kind of things, was a super dope move. I thought that was like super brave of you.
Yeah, and it was, it took a lot of courage. Yeah. And then even after I went, I didn't want to tell my husband. It's like, oh, he married this strong woman and now I'm all weak. And, I was really just afraid of everything around it.
Yeah.
And when I finally did open up to him, it was still hard for him to understand because he had never dealt with it.
Right.
But, fortunately, he's compassionate enough to work with me, because I still have moments. Like I remember I talked to you not too long ago as we were at the gun shop, and I would like to have a gun for protection because this world seems to get crazier every day. But I mentioned how I was afraid to have one in the house because I might, now got the ammunition to do the thing, like I don't, find myself around water too often. But if I had a gun in the house and I had a moment of weakness, but when I talked to you about it, because like you said, you have your issues as well. And I thought it was kind of interesting that when I said, I was afraid to have the gun in the house because, I might use it. She was like, I never thought about that. I was like, because there's a difference between depression and suicidal ideation.
Exactly.
I just happen to have I got a whole bunch of everything.
Right.
But yeah, that, again, there's a difference. You can have one without the other.
Talk to me, baby. Converse with me now. We would love to hear what you have to say. I know we're not the only ones who finds life funny. Shoot us an email. Give us a comment. We'd be more than happy to respond.
So what's on your mind? Does life crack you up like it cracks us up? We want to hear about it.
Yeah, see, so I am a proud gun owner. I believe in my rights to carry my weapon, but I carry it strictly for protection. I do not feel as though I would ever feel so low in my life that I would use that to harm myself or anybody in my household, or to go out and, you know, do some of the things that people have done. There's no doubt in my mind that that would never occur. So I'm comfortable having my firearm thoroughly locked away in my home. But I do also support the intervention, if you will, of government or whoever, gun shops, gun sales, whatever, that background checks
absolutely
are a must. And every person does not have the right to carry a firearm.
Exactly. Oh, I totally agree.
Every person does not have the right to carry a firearm. So, you know, I believe in the Second Amendment and all that good stuff. However,
yeah, gotta be wise with it. You're right.
Absolutely.
Not everybody should. Like I said, like me, you know, I'm not gonna go out there and attack anybody else. I don't think so. But again,
I worry about self-harm.
Right. That's my concern
right.
for that. And I can acknowledge that.
And if you can acknowledge that, then I would agree maybe you're not ready for a firearm in your house. And I wish that other people would have that same, come to that same realization, that maybe this isn't the right time. Maybe I need to get through this struggle within myself before I go purchase a firearm.
Because I think a crossbow, I don't think I can do too much harm to myself with a crossbow. Bow and arrow, what you think? You come up in my house, I put a bow and arrow in your butt.
You can get one. You can get a hot arrow.
Hot arrow.
You can definitely get
a hot arrow. I tell you what, you come over here, you get the hot arrow.
But yeah, firearms and mental health.
No, they don't mix well. They do not mix well at all. And you know, you have to know about yourself, because there's a lot of things out there that people have issues with, that I feel just go seek help.
Yeah.
You know, just whatever it is, you're not the only one.
Yeah.
Whatever,
as much as you think you
are.
Right.
Whatever the thing is, I'm sure that somebody else out there has had that issue. And if you have a struggle with it, it's better to get help. Than to go out and do something that you will regret, or, you know, cause harm to yourself or anybody else.
And the other side of the whole mental health thing and firearms, not to harp on that though, but some people who struggle with mental health issues don't realize they're struggling with mental health issues. So they think they're okay to have a firearm in the house, or they're okay to, you know, to purchase a firearm. But that's where people around you come into play. If that person doesn't realize they're struggling, or that they may be have the capacity to hurt themselves or hurt other people, maybe the people around them in their lives should pay attention to that. And when you see a red flag, act on it. You know, try to insinuate yourself into their situation. They may not like it, but do you want to do that, or do you want to be the parent on the news who says, I never saw this coming?
Yeah, exactly.
I know that they spend a lot of time by themselves and didn't speak to me at all, but I never saw this coming. I don't think anybody sees it coming. But why not be proactive?
Yeah, exactly.
The other thing I think with therapy that people should realize is your first therapist may not be the therapist.
Yes.
Please don't give up after one session with one person who didn't feel right to you. If that person doesn't feel like they're listening, or if that's the type of person who just talks and doesn't hear you, then it's okay to seek a different therapist.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, you have to be your own advocate, and it has to feel right. So definitely shop around, because I would hate for somebody to go to one therapy session and it not work out, and it's like, well, therapy doesn't work.
Right.
No, that's not it. That therapist wasn't the therapist for you.
That's like when black guys say, I only date white girls. I digress.
You go start some stuff.
I digress. That's a whole other episode.
Yes, that is.
I digress. But yes.
but seek that help, because I know like some instances in my life.
Inches. Go to where your head at today.
That there's
Inches.
no, I'm just no, there have been some situations in my life, like I said, when I was younger and I didn't realize that, I was having, common issues. It's like, and I have to say that I don't condone teen pregnancy at all. Let's just get that out there. But I feel that my daughter was another instance that stopped me, because I remember thinking, if I'm not here, what's going to happen to her?
Right.
And yeah, I mean, even though I was really torn up about the situation I was in, and it's like, I just can't abandon her. That would be, because I mean, and I say it all the time, suicide is rude. Even though I think about it, I still tell myself too, like, that would be so rude to do that to people, right? Because you're leaving those people behind intentionally, because anything can happen that can take you away from here. But if you did that to them, my mother would be devastated. My daughter would be devastated. My husband would be devastated.
I'd be devastated.
Oh, and Natalie would be devastated.
I would be devastated.
Yeah,
truly devastated.
Yeah, like, so that's one of the things.
Just even the thought of that is actually making my eyes water up.
I'm sorry, and that's what I think about too. So again, the struggle, and I always say that I wish I could lose weight by, the fight, the internal turmoil. Right. We are really in there battling the multiples of us. Right. So I'm just mad that I don't burn calories that way. I'm just saying. But that's, like I said, on one side, I'm thinking, I like you said, I can't do this anymore. It's not worth it. I'm not worthy. But on the other side, it's like, I hate to hurt and disappoint people.
Right.
So and that in itself bring me down again. So I'm a third level deep. Yeah. And it's like, then it's like, why do I think this? Like sometimes I can be riding down the road and all of a sudden I start feeling, like the sucked down. I start thinking, what did I do wrong?
Yeah.
Why am I feeling this? Who did I hurt? It's like, but I didn't. And I remember hearing this one guy, he's a comedian and he does all this stuff. And he was saying how, like, his life, and he was like, depression doesn't care that you got a good life, you got a good job, good family. It does not care.
Depression does not care your race, creed, color, sexual orientation, nope. Sexual preference.
None of that.
Couldn't care less.
None of that.
Couldn't care less.
So so it's just like, and I still struggle. I'm not even gonna lie. I do still have my issues sometimes. I'm definitely a lot better at coping with them. Like my anxiety, like every time some little thing happens, I would blow it so far out of proportion.
Yeah.
So again, my therapy, and then I do medication as well. If that's necessary, then, and it does help a lot. Yeah. I must say.
Yeah. You think about when you were talking about how rude the concept of suicide is, and you think about the people you'd be leaving behind, but prayerfully you're not so far gone that none of that matters. Because when you think about, and I'm just going to bring one person up because I couldn't have been more shocked by their suicide, but Twitch, so you think you can dance, and Ellen. And when I heard that news, my mind couldn't wrap around it. I don't know this man.
Right.
I don't know anything about him other than the fact that I watched So You Think You Can Dance, and he was one of my favorite dancers on there. So I liked him in everything he did. When I heard that news and I thought about the personality I saw on TV, I couldn't wrap my mind around the fact that he left behind his wife, his children, his family. Like, I was like, oh my gosh. But then I had to also stop and think again, I don't know this man. I only know the personality I saw on TV.
Yep.
So there was something that weighed on him so heavily that he thought the best route to go would be to leave everybody else behind. So I just, gosh, I can't tell you how much I'm in prayer for people who struggle with that, or even maybe walking towards that struggle. you and I having this conversation know that we can get help, and hopefully, and again, I don't know if he sought help in his personal life, or if he sought help and it wasn't working, or maybe like we just said, whoever he was seeing didn't work, and maybe he needed to see somebody else. Maybe there was medication that could have helped. We don't know all of that, but I just hope that the people within the sound of our voices at least know, whatever you're going through, whatever you're feeling, you're not the only one. There are options out there. There are people that you can talk to. I don't know. The whole concept of suicide just frightens me to no end.
I'll tell you what did it for me. Robin Williams.
And
it's like you said, we feel like we know them, but we don't really.
Right.
We don't know the backside. But my thought was, with all the resources he had available to him, how can I be safe? And that's it. Just really, it took me to a different place.
Yeah.
Because he was the one who I turned to make me laugh.
Right.
And it just, oh gosh, I couldn't even put myself together for a little while after that. And then I think Anthony Bourdain, these people who look like they've got it.
They've got it, yeah. And just unlimited access to funds.
Yeah, that's my thing too. It's like, they could have had the best, and it just frightened me. Like, I thought I didn't have a chance if they didn't. So that was an eye opener too. And also, like, people who like Twitch and Rob Williams, they entertain people. They make people happy.
Right.
And I found too, like myself, people like to laugh at me, with me, around me. It's like, am I using some of that to cover, what's unhappiness? Right. It's like, because a lot of people can make other people laugh, but what can you do for yourself? Or, are you taking care of yourself so that you can better take care of other people?
Yeah. And the other thing that makes that kind of plays here is when you look at generational effects. When Robin Williams committed suicide, mental health was not talked about as much as it is today. However, it was talked about more than it was in his prior generations. So I think about my grandmother, who passed away at 101. I mean, I don't ever recall sitting down and having a conversation with my grandmother about mental health, but I don't ever recall having a conversation about mental health. Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, it was not talked about. It was never discussed. And even in my mom's generation, mental health was never discussed. People were identified as having issues.
That
those
which one? That auntie, like you said before, it's like, they got some issues.
They have some issues,
but mental health, no. I think it's like, if you were to say they were going to get mental health, that's what defines them as crazy, right?
Crazy.
Right. Yeah, if you want some help, they must be crazy. Right. It's like,
and the reason they got to the point they did was because there was no intervention.
Yeah.
So it may have been a case where someone was showing signs of mental health issues, but because it wasn't anything that was talked about or acted upon, there was no intervention, no medication. There was nothing to stop that person from preventing that person from becoming more, as they called them, crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now it's like we said before, it's talked about more. It's out there.
Yeah, and it's
not a stigma.
Yes, like I said, I've been going into the high schools with a couple of programs that I've been working with, and I've gone specifically to talk to the kids about mental health. And I didn't realize these kids are really struggling.
Oh gosh, yes,
they are.
Like, that's an understatement.
Yeah, and that's how I felt too. I'm like, I'm going in there supposed to be the subject matter expert or whatever, and I'm getting blown away. I'm trying to hold it back to not look like they need help.
I blame everything on social media. Thank you, social media, for our platform. But I've said this before, and I will continue to say it, but these children are overstimulated stimulated.
Mm-hmm.
They're overloaded with information. 3 times last week, 3 times last week, I got a message from the school that there was a bomb threat called in. 3 times at the high school in 1 week. The last message was called because it comes through on like it comes through on your phone and you got to hit play. Like it's not a voicemail, but I'm trying to think of the word and I can't. But it was literally titled Bomb 3. Kid, I will show you right now. It was called Bomb 3. But my kid didn't seem affected by it.
Yeah. It's becoming,
I text her.
This stuff is becoming the norm.
The norm.
Yeah.
I text her and I said, "Oh gosh," I said, "another bomb threat?" And she was like, "Huh?" That she texted back, "Huh?" Question mark. And I said, "I just got a message from the principal," and I sent her the link. That's the word I was looking for, a freaking link. I sent her the link, and she was like, "Well, we didn't have to leave the school."
Oh my
It's
gosh.
becoming so regular, and the same with the school shootings. I worry more about sending my kids to school than they do about being in school.
Exactly.
Because it's quote unquote becoming the norm.
It is. And it is so sad. But obviously, these kids or whoever's out there doing these threats or doing these shootings, they have some issues that they need to have addressed.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, like the bullying. And the bullying is different when we were kids. Bullying is, I'm gonna meet you out at the playground at 3:00 and I'm gonna kick your butt. We're gonna fight. It's gonna be done.
And it's gonna be done.
It's gonna be done. But now it's weird. They don't even have to put hands on people now. And these kids are, so traumatized by what someone says, and then they want to go and do something, and it's like, I don't know. I'm not that I really want somebody to put hands on somebody, but let's, do something to get it done. Stop with all this other foolishness. But like you said, social media, they have this anonymity that they can say and do whatever behind these things. And they're
keyboard courage.
Yeah. They're harassing these kids, and these kids don't know where to turn to get, to realize, like, okay, one of the therapists I went to, I was going through a situation, and somebody called me. Oh, now I can't even remember what it was. It was some term I don't know, let's say I was a bum. I don't remember what it was. And he looked at me, he says, "Well, are you?"
Right.
I was like, "No."
I'm not a bum.
Like, okay.
And stop letting it affect you.
Exactly. And it was just that simple. And it's so funny because it wasn't my daughter who had done that, but she was going through some stuff, and she was like always calling me, and I was stressed out about her as well. But she's always calling, "It's my time of need," and I used to tell her, I said, "My therapist said to tell you da da da," and this went on for months. And so one day we were talking, and she's like, "So how often do you see this therapist?" I said, "Oh, I only saw him that once," but but every time she did something I didn't like, like, my therapist said.
Oh my God, that was literally an episode of George Lopez, Lopez versus Lopez. That was literally an episode a few weeks ago.
We still laugh about that now, and that's been about 10 years.
That's hilarious.
I was like, my therapist said to tell you, stop calling me.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
But yeah, the other thing about, with the bullying and the kids and everything, because like I have one in getting ready to go into junior high. I'm sorry, they call it middle school here in Virginia. But I've got one going into middle school, and I've got a senior in high school next year. But I have noticed, I've heard people say, when these kids are getting bullied, well, just close the computer. Like, just shut the computer down. Well, yeah, you can do that, but what do you do with all the kids in school who are now attacking that one kid over what they saw?
You're right, because I said they saw it.
Everybody else saw it. So yeah, she can close. They can close the computer.
But you're right.
But what do they do when they're in school and kids are, coming at them with what they saw online? I think, and I'm probably going to catch some slack for this, but I think how your kid receives things starts at home. Number one, you should know where your kid's at online. And that's part of the struggle I've had over the last few days that I was telling you about. That's caused my mental to kind of break a little bit because I am finding out where my kid's been online. So that's number one. But I'm taking responsibility and ownership for what's happening in my house. And I need for my child to understand that other people's words can't affect how your day goes, or can't affect how your life is about to be, or can't affect how your schoolwork's going to be, or your school year, or whatever. Those people who are talking shit probably have their own issues that they're trying to deal with, and you're their outlet.
Exactly.
Because they're not getting what they need at home. So please start at home and take care of your own before your kids go out there and fuck up somebody else's kid.
Yeah. But you know that you're absolutely right with that. But my struggle is, how do you get them to see their self-worth?
Right.
That they are not defined by somebody else. Because, like, I got the one in my house a little later in life. So, they've already got some formative years behind them. And it's like,
they were already who they are.
Right. And I'm trying to tell you, it's like, that they don't mean anything. First of all, if you're talking to somebody online that you've never seen in person, I tell her all the time, that's a 40-year-old man. That is not a teenage boy or a teenage girl, whoever you think they are. They're not. That's the first thing. The second, they don't know you. You don't know them. Why are you allowing yourself to be so caught up in some foolishness that they said?
Right.
And I don't know. I struggle with how to do that without like belittling her,
making her feel less
than
for falling for it.
But to have her understand that these people, like I said, they're going through their own crap, and you are the outlet that they're using to get their stuff out. So don't because there have been times she's been broken down, and I was like, because I'm thinking to myself, like, that ain't nothing, it's like, but you can't tell a kid that, because right now it is their everything. It is their everything. But I have to protect her enough to get to grow past that stage. And that's my struggle, is how do I guide you during this fragile time in your life to help you be strong? I'm not gonna like run in and rescue you, because that's not going to help you be able to deal with it later.
Right.
But at the same time, I don't want to leave you in the mess. It's like, I don't know how to navigate through this.
I think that's an honest struggle. It's one that I struggle with. And in these times, I feel like it's something we'll continue to struggle with, because no matter what I try to teach her at home, society, schools, teachers, whoever, are teaching these kids to be punks.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
I mean, it's like, and everybody's your friend. When I heard that, it's like,
girl,
everybody's your, no.
If I got to have that conversation one more time about everybody is not your friend.
Yes.
Everybody does not mean you well. That, again, that's some things they have to find out on their own. There are some things that I just can't show you. And as we're finding out right now, that whole everybody's not your friend thing, it's all coming to light. I'm sorry you had to find out this way. I tried to tell you.
Yeah.
But
yes,
some things you just have to find out on your own. So we're learning that right now. But with the way that these kids are being taught, they're setting them up for failure in the real world.
Yes.
These kids, and not just the way they're being taught, but this, I'm speaking to you parents right now who coddle your children so much. You make them think that they're great at everything. The world is yours. Yes. You can do whatever you want. You can be, and to an extent that's true. But what you're also doing is setting that child up so that when they go out in the real world and get rejected, they're not going to know how to accept it.
Exactly.
Because you've told them that everything is going to go your way. You deserve everything. You are the best in everything. The world is your oyster, and golden sidewalks and all that bullshit. And then when they get out and they get rejected, they're destroyed.
Yes.
Because they never even knew that concept of rejection existed.
Oh, my gosh.
So please stop setting your kids up for failure.
You're funny with that. Because that happened with my first kid. And when the first time she got rejected for something, I was messed up. Like, how is she gonna? Because she was a dancer growing up. You know, she was great at it. Oh my gosh! And then the first time she auditioned for something and didn't get it, I was tore up. Like, should I have her on suicide watch? Like, how is she? Because she had not experienced that before. But she's a tough cookie. She's tougher than I am. But this one, you're right. I know what I was going to say. It's like, I used to feel that I was the quote unquote bad parent because I didn't coddle this one. And it's like, life is hard, so hearing you say that, I'm sort of on the right track, I think. But yes, life is hard. It's going to smack you in the face. Yeah. You need to toughen up.
Yes. Prepare your children for the potential of rejection. Every kid cannot be the fucking president. I don't care how much encouragement you give them at home.
Right.
I don't care. Even looking at George Bush, everybody cannot
do it. Yeah.
President.
Right.
Every child cannot get into the NFL, the NBA.
All of that.
It's not like, I'm not saying don't encourage them. Absolutely 1000% encourage them.
Right.
But stop raising your kid to believe that everything is possible.
Everything's going to work out exactly the way you want it to. No,
it's not.
No, you will get those curveballs in life, and you have to be able to handle that.
Know your child's limit, B.
Yeah.
Like, if your kid's in high school and struggles with fucking...
So with math, he's not going to be was an architect or something, whatever
he's
that is.
Probably not going to be an engineer.
Yeah, the engineer. That's what he is.
If your kid can't run around the track 4 times,
not going to win
that
Olympics.
He's probably not going to play in the NFL.
Exactly. Be real. Exactly. Encourage them, like you said. But yes, you must be real, and know that even if you are, my thing too is like talking about the Olympics. Is I look at the Olympics, and I'm not an athlete at all, but I watch the running, and there's somebody who comes in dead last,
right?
But you know what? But he was the best of the,
absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, yes. So yeah, you may not be number one. Right. But that doesn't mean you're not good, you're not great, right. All of that. But that dude, I'm sure the one that came in last, he's probably devastated. Like, right. Oh, but you have to be able to handle that.
Yeah. Your kid may not be a running back for Dallas, but maybe he can coach college. You see what I'm saying? Right, exactly. Like, I'm not saying they're never going to be. I am a gymnast. I've done gymnastics my entire life. I will say, I cannot teach everyone gymnastics. You have to be born with a certain talent, with a certain gift.
Special set of skills.
A special set of skills to be a gymnast. Yeah. I can teach you how to do a cartwheel. I can't teach you how to do a round off back handspring back tuck. Yeah. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am.
You have to have something in you. Same with a musician. You can teach me how to play Mary Had a Little Lamb, but you can't teach me Beethoven,
right?
Because I don't have it in me to learn that. I'm not saying that I suck. I'm saying that's not my skill set.
Yeah. And so if you go out there and you try to get into Juilliard,
right, it's not going to work because I don't have that skill set.
And you need to be okay.
Right.
You need to be okay with that. It is not the end of the world when you get a rejection. So yes, we're going with that. Right. Again, you have to prepare these kids for that, because if not, if they think that they're supposed to be on top all the time, and as soon as something doesn't go right, then they're out there doing something out of character. So
then their mental health is affected.
Yeah.
Because
you told
them they could be Whitney Houston, but they sound like Britney Spears.
Leave Britney alone.
Girl, please tell me. Okay. And speaking of mental health, because it is clear to me that young lady is struggling with something. Okay. And I'm going to leave it at that, because I'm not here to get bashed by Britney fans or any. Absolutely. But did you see the video of her singing in that bathroom in the mirror when she did her little remix of, was it Oops, I Did It Again, or Baby Hit Me One More Time? Girl, she did this run and she was like, ah! I thought I was going to pass out. All right, that's all I'm saying about Britney Spears before somebody finds out who I am and has signs outside my house.
Right.
But the whole mental health thing.
It's real.
The whole mental health thing, I think that we need to pay closer attention to that. Take it seriously. To my Black listeners, please don't let your pro-Blackness stop you from seeking help if you need it.
Like I said, if you're in the Black community, if you're a Black woman, because we're supposed to be strong.
Yeah.
If you're a Black man, and that's something we didn't.
Yes.
Black men, please.
Yeah.
Please, Black men. There are therapists out there. There are Black male therapists, if that's what you feel you need to talk to. But I think it's everybody. You know what? Everybody needs it.
Yeah.
Everybody should check in. I think
Absolutely.
Just like you have a general practitioner.
Yep.
I think that the insurance should cover it. Everybody needs a check-in.
That's a whole nother podcast, getting insurance and shit That's a whole nother podcast. But yes, and yeah, like you said, Black men, that's another struggle.
Yeah.
Black men feel like they have to be so macho, and
Oh yeah.
the thought of that, you know, it makes them cringe a little bit.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
what?
like, oh,
me
no,
show
that's not
weakness?
me.
Like,
Exactly.
me show vulnerability?
Mhm.
Heavens to mercy.
I knew you called out with that. But yeah, so all of my people, everyone within the sound of my voice, please check in. Check in. Get a check in. It's okay. It is okay. I promise. I will not judge you.
Nor will I.
No.
Nor will I. McDonald's on me for everybody who getting. I'm just joking. Just joking. Just joking. Look, that's a whole nother episode. How unhealthy fast food is.
Right.
But anyway,
no, like my favorite movie, The Jerk. It's like you can get anything. Oh. You get anything from this row right here between this one. So yeah, that's what you can get. Any of that in between here.
As usual, I love our conversations. I love the fact that we're able to chuckle a little bit, but at the same time, talk about something that's serious, something that's near and dear to both of us.
Yes.
But I mean, this is why
life cracks us up.
What's up, party people? This is the point in time where we need you to like, share, follow, and subscribe.